There is a French phrase that I have never forgotten since my aborted attempt to learn French 59 years ago in 1962 at Ntare. Apart from famille la porte, ouvrez la porte, je ne comprends pas, etc. I will never forget the phrase, dormir beaucoup. Certainly in Uganda, I do not know about the other parts of Africa. There's been a lot of dormir beaucoup, kulambara, nino matek, okwebaka, kugweshegera, kulala sana, too much sleep. In Uganda, yesterday I was talking to one delegate, I will not mention the person, the delegate who is sitting here, but I will not mention the person for diplomatic reasons. That person was saying that, but you people, how do you manage to be poor here? With so much rain, so much good soil, and you are poor? Somebody is sitting there in the audience, but I will not tell you who that person is. He asked that question, which I've been asking you myself. That is how you would get poverty with people who have got good land, with fresh water, but only working for the stomach, or call the chida chonka, teach me each keken, and no effort at all for the pocket. Sleeping, however, is also good in its own paradoxical way. There are so many things you do not worry about because you are asleep. A snake can come and enter the bedroom when you are asleep, and it will bite you, and you die peacefully because you did not have time to worry. When you are awake, however, you worry about so many realities that you continue to face. The NRM has been able to wake up sections of the population of Uganda. In 1986, Uganda was a land of shortages. No sugar, no soap, no paraffin, no textiles, no sodas, no salt, no beer, no petrol, etc., etc. With the limited waking up of some of the sections of the population, Uganda now is a country of surpluses. Maize, where we produce 5 million tons per year, but consume only 1 million tons within Uganda. Milk, we produce 2.6 billion liters, but consume only 800 million liters. Bananas, beef, sugar, where we produce 600,000 tons, but consume only 380,000 tons. Hiya nataka kushukuru Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta tia mkataba wa tani 90,000 kwa kila mwaka. Vile vile nataka kushukuru dada yetu Samia, Her Excellency Samia, ameturuhusu kuuza sukari Tanzania. Asante sana. Nataka kushukuru His Excellency Ndaishimie, Burundi, wananunua sukari yetu. Nataka kushukuru His Excellency Tshisekedi, wanaruhusu sukari yetu Kongo. Nataka kushukuru His Excellency Salva Kiir, wanaruhusu sukari yetu South Sudan na bidhaa nyingine. Otherwise, we were stuck with sugar, producing 600,000 tons, but consuming only 380,000 tons. Cement, steel bars, mitaimbwa, tires and tubes for motorcycles, textiles, ceramic tiles, coffee, 7 million bags, tea. Your country now, in spite of only about 40% of the people waking up, 60% are still asleep. But these 40% who have woken up have produced so many products that the internal market is not enough. Therefore, the small colonial enclave economy of 1971 that had been wiped out by the Amin regime has been restored, greatly expanded, and totally new products have been added. This has now vindicated the stand of the NRM ever since 1965, encapsulated in the 4 principles, one of which is pan-africanism. Some of the people in Africa, they talk of tribes. The tribes, religion, oh. Now, let them buy the sugar now. Let the tribes buy the sugar. If the tribes are important, why do we have a surplus of maize and sugar, and all which they cannot be bought? The NRM has been telling you from 1965 that pan-africanism is the way for Africa to go. Now that you have woken up a bit, you are now seeing it for yourselves now. The question is, when all the Ugandans wake up and start using their assets fully, land, labor, capital, to create more wealth in the 4 sectors of commercial agriculture, industry, services, and ICT, who will buy or utilize all those products? Will the internal market of Uganda be enough? The answer is a clear no. The internal market cannot be enough. If serious production takes off in Uganda and also in the other African countries. Do we need examples? Look at China and India. Each of them has got an internal market of 1.4 billion people. Yet they have been greatly assisted by exporting to other countries, including the African ones. How could then the population of Uganda of 46 million people be considered enough to sustainably stimulate and absorb the enhanced products of the Ugandans that have woken from the sleep of ignorance about modern opportunities? This is the moment the Ugandans and the other Africans need to answer the question. By 1900, the whole of Africa had been colonized, except for Ethiopia. This was a big shame to Africa, and it was all due to the political fragmentation of Africa in smaller kingdoms and chiefdoms. Some of the traditional leaders tried to fight to preserve their independence. They were, however, not coordinated, and they were defeated one by one. Taking Uganda as an example, our society at that time was a pre-capitalist, mainly non-money one, using barter trade, and comprised of 3 social classes: the feudalists, the artisans, and the peasants. By 1962, at independence, this pre-capitalist economy and society had somewhat metamorphosed into a typical enclave colonial economy with a small island of modernity that had entered the money economy, surrounded by a sea of backward subsistence economic activities that only catered for food and no cash. The small monetary enclave economy left by the British was described as the economy of the 3 C's and the 3 T's. The 3 C's being coffee, cotton, and copper, and the 3 T's being tobacco, tea, and tourism. This little enclave was growing well. In 1969, it grew at the rate of 11%. When the illiterate Idi Amin came in 1971, the small enclave collapsed almost completely. By 1986, 16 years after the onset of the Idi Amin regime, 2 of the 3 C's, cotton and copper, had disappeared, and 2 of the 3 T's, tourism and tea, had either disappeared or radically shrunk. Tea exports had gone from 23 million kilograms in 1969 to only 3 million kilograms. Hence, it was only coffee and tobacco that were still limping on. And there, I put a picture of a tea plantation that had become a forest. You will see it on page 4. And on page 5, I put a picture of similar tea estates after they had been rehabilitated. With the clear-headed ideology of the NRM, we had correctly diagnosed the problem of Uganda. Philosophically and strategically, the main mistake was to emphasize identity, religion, tribe, and gender chauvinism, instead of emphasizing interests such as markets where you sell your products, security, infrastructure, etc. Accordingly, we distilled the 4 principles of NRM. Number 1, patriotism, loving Uganda, and rejecting sectarianism of religion or tribe, as well as gender chauvinism. This is, among other reasons, to ensure that the united market of Uganda is available for our producers without any hindrances such as multiple taxation by the different local governments. 2, realizing that the internal market of Uganda is not enough, if we are to support our producers of goods and services, we saw that pan-africanism was a necessity for the prosperity of our society. 3, Ugandans could not, however, benefit fully from the Ugandan market, the African market, or indeed the global market, unless they underwent socio-economic transformation, changed from the pre-capitalist traditional culture of only working for the stomach or engaging in an economic, colonially demanded cash crops to producing remunerative products and services that are market-driven. While joining the money economy is one of the stimuli for socio-economic transformation, we cannot also forget the other one, the development of the human resource through education and improved health.